Who motivated you beside you?
Well, family. Yeah, I've talked about them a lot. That was a huge motivating factor for me because I always knew the sacrifices that my folks made to allow me to get to the level that I was at. I always knew how much they cared, how much love they put forth. And I knew the amount of hours that I spent on the field are the same amount of hours my dad spent on the field. So being able to bring them along with me was really special. And understanding that a lot of people in a different country were having fun because someone that they had an association with was being successful, that was also a motivating factor as well.
And you were very self-motivated in terms of driving. What drove you as an athlete was that feeling, I don't even belong here. And I've got a chip on my shoulder.
I still have that chip on my shoulder. I always will. I was always an underdog. I was not your prototypical athlete. I had to work harder than most people. And I think that's a good thing. I learned by doing, and I learned through a lot of repetition, a lot of mistakes, a lot of trial and error, and a lot of people just plain telling me no. I remember sitting in Don Bosco, getting talked to by Charlie Weiss and Urban Meyer, and them telling me, look, you're just not big enough to play college football. I remember sitting in an office in Central Michigan and the coach telling me, hey, look, we're not going to give you a scholarship. You're not big enough. I remember playing against Cincinnati. That same coach, Butch Jones, came up to me after the game. And I really, really have all the time in the world for Coach Jones. He came up to me after the game, after I had a great day. And he said, look, we probably should have given you a scholarship at Central Michigan. It's like, you know what, coach, I really appreciate that. And I use that as motivation. And I continue to use that as motivation, even in my professional life.
Tom Masella is the coach that gives you an opportunity originally at Fordham, and then he is replaced by Joe Moorhead. What did Coach Joe Moorhead do for Patrick Murray?
He gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. He put it in my hands. From that first meeting that we had in his office, he said, Pat, I need you to be a leader. I need you to be my kicker and punter. I need you to shore up this special teams so that I can go and execute on offense and we can execute on defense. I need you. And I took that and I said, I've got you, coach. He made me a captain. Most of the time, kickers are not captains. My team won the winter conditioning, let's call them Olympics, because I took it upon myself to say, I will not be beaten. I'm going to show you you made the right decision by putting this on me. I went out there and had the best season Fordham's ever had as far as specialists are concerned. And I talked to Joe a couple of weeks ago, and I asked, would he mind writing me a letter of recommendation for the College Football Hall of Fame? And he did it immediately. I have all the time in the world for Joe Moorhead. I think what he's done in his life is commendable. What he did at Fordham is tremendous. And what he's doing now as a coach and a father, it's really something to be admired.
He averaged 46 yards punting as a senior, averaged 46 yards punting as a senior with a long of 73. You had 52 career punts of 50 yards or longer. Tell us about your best punt at Fordham. Tell us about your best kick at Fordham.
Best punt at Fordham was when we were backed up against Georgetown at Rose Hill. And I think we were only up by a couple of points. So we needed to clear the lines and make sure they didn't have an opportunity to go down and score. So prior to that, I told Sully, Joe Sullivan, hey, just get it in my hands. Let me do the rest. No problem. So we're backed up. I believe my heels are in the end zone. Snap comes back, perfect snap right on my hip. I launch a 60-plus yard ball. I'm watching the Georgetown returner run backwards to try and catch this ball. It hits off his shoulder pads, goes back a little bit more. We tackle him, I think, inside their 30-yard line. Game's over. No chance Georgetown is ever getting inside of our 50 to get any points. That punt sticks out to me for a number of reasons. One, we had to have it. Two, I told Joe, look, You just do your best, put it on my hip, and let me take care of the rest. I knew that I could set the tone and end this game for our team, like that closer that you spoke about, like a Mariano Rivera. Best kick has to be the 55-yard field goal against Cincinnati. We lined up. Cincinnati never thought we were going to kick this field goal. Never. They thought we were going to run the clock out, kick it down, pin them deep, and then go into the half. Moorhead said, no, Pat, go kick the ball. I know you can make it. You've made them in practice. Go make it. Perfect snap, perfect hold. I hit that thing right down the middle. And Brian Wetzel always says that, I didn't give him a high five after I made the kick. That's normally what I did. I gave him a high five. We tapped helmets. I run off towards our sideline, just excited as can be, and jump up, hip check Blake Wayne, and we just get to celebrating. So for me, those are two pretty special moments.
Biggest win while you were at Fordham, biggest disappointment while you were at Fordham?
Unfortunately, we had a lot of disappointments. Probably biggest disappointment wasn't just one game. It was that junior season when we went 1-10. I think Fordham was in a transition at that time. I think that the coaches did their best, but there were maybe some situations where we all could have done a bit better. So that was disappointing. I never really lost in high school. I lost one game, so I wasn't used to losing. So to see and be part of a season that was 1-10 was something very foreign to me. I didn't know how to take it. I knew that we were effective as a special teams unit because we were the best in the nation as far as punt was concerned. So we did our job. But seeing the pain on my teammates' faces day in and day out during that season was tough to take. Biggest win at Fordham, gosh, it probably would have been that Georgetown game our senior year. That really set the tone. We had a really positive season, and they carried it obviously to the next couple of years, winning Patriot League titles and going into the playoffs. So knowing that we were part of something groundbreaking for that university was really special.
Injuries at Fordham, and if you will, talk about the training staff and those who helped you.
Well, Vinny and Zippo, two tremendous individuals. They always made sure that I personally was taken care of to whatever I needed. Tape, ice, heat, cold tub, whatever I needed. They knew that they were going to put me in the best position to be successful. And I really appreciated them for that. Training staffs are essential to what we as athletes do. They don't get enough credit. They're maybe the people that are quote unquote behind the camera, but they make a team go. They understand the needs of the team. They understand that it's imperative that athletes they need to be taken care of in a certain way, and some more than others. So being able to be psychologists while being trainers, it's a delicate balance act, and they did it both very, very well. I was fortunate. I really didn't have that many injuries while I was at Fordham. I had, some tendonitis in my foot and ankle. I had a couple of tweaked muscles here or there, but I knew training like a linebacker was good for me. I was squat, bench, deadlift, front squat, doing everything that everybody else did. I didn't want to have my specific kicker workout because I knew to be a better kicker, I needed to be a better athlete and a stronger athlete. And I credit that to being healthy throughout my college career.
Record, Pat, you're most proud of?
It's leading the nation once in punting, and then the second year in field goals. It showed that I was not a one-trick pony. It showed that the work that I was doing at both codes, kicking and punting, was paying off. I don't think that's ever been done in college football before, leading the nation once in punting and then leading the nation the next year in field goals. So that's what I'm most proud of, because I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted everybody to know that, hey, this guy works his butt off and wants to be the best and is going to do whatever it takes to get to that level. And thankfully, I was able to do that.
Graduation day. What was that like?
I didn't want it to end. I really didn't. I remember, Greg Wilson and Greg was my roommate along with Blake and Anthony Petinello. Greg and I stayed up that whole night just talking.
May I interrupt? Greg Wilson was on the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
When they played the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl, and he was your roommate, and then
He
played
was.
in the Canadian Football League.
Correct. And I was sitting in the stands in Giant Stadium that day with Greg's family. And that was a joy just to watch him on the sideline. Unfortunately, they came out on the wrong end that day. But Greg worked just as hard, if not harder, than me. And we trained together leading up to our pro days. We trained together. I flew out to San Francisco to train with him for a week in 2014, prior to us going away to some mini camps. We didn't want that evening to end. We knew that it had to end because we had other things that we had to do, meaning go play professional football. But we had a blast. And sitting there, graduation day at commencement, knowing that my mother had done the same, and actually receiving my diploma from my mother, because I guess that's something they do at Fordham, where former graduates can hand out diplomas to their sons or daughters. That was very special. And to share that moment with my mom, knowing that she put me in this position, knowingly or unknowingly, the football team was practicing that day, that we were able to share that moment together was very special.
4 words in your life that changed your life. Let's take a ride. You were inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2019. How were you told?
Well, you know how Fordham sometimes sends letters saying, hey, you're a great alumni. We'd love for you to make a donation here. Most like every university does that. So I received a letter from Fordham University to my parents' house. And I wasn't living there at the time, but my mom said, hey, look, you got a letter from Fordham. It kind of looks important. Why don't you stop by? Okay, another letter from Fordham. I open it up, and it's a letter signed by Ed Call saying that I had been voted into the Fordham Athletic Hall of Fame. And to tell you, Ed, how many tears I cried, I couldn't count. It was incredible. Knowing that I had been voted by people at Fordham to be one of the all-time greats to ever step on a field or court or diamond there. It was truly, truly special. And what a moment to be able to share that with my family. And I immediately called and accepted. I was not going to let a moment go to waste.
And tell us about the day of your enshrinement.
Well, my cousin flew in from Ireland, Aideen, to be part of this. She brought a very close friend of hers, Holly, who we've known basically my entire life. Actually, Holly got stuck at the airport because when she told the immigration officer that she was going to a Hall of Fame induction for her friend's cousin, they didn't know what she meant. So in fact, Holly had to pull up the article and say, no, look, this is actually happening. He's actually getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. This is where I'm going. That was a great start to the first couple of days on that weekend. But I knew that I wanted Joe Sullivan to induct me, make a video and say something, because he was essential to what I did at Fordham. So sitting back and watching that video and Joe speaking about our time at Fordham, my career, it brought tears to my eyes. It was really incredible. And then walking up that stage, getting to talk for the Hall of Famers that year and thank everybody. It's a moment I'll never forget.
What are your emotions when you see your plaque?
Pride. It's pride. It's a culmination of hard work. It's a culmination of a lot of hours, a lot of missed events, a lot of sacrifices, and a lot of help. I know that I would not be up there without a lot of people, and a lot of them I've mentioned throughout this interview. And when I get the opportunity to bring my family back and for them to look up and see that plaque, I hope that they feel a sense of pride as well.
One of the most important ideals that you took with you from Fordham is AMDG, or ad majorem De Gloriam, for the greater glory of God. The team wore those initials on their helmets every game, and you try to embody this idea and you take it with you wherever you go. Yes?
Well, emphatically, yes. I grew up, my uncle's a priest, so I certainly wasn't getting away from Catholicism. My dad's an Irish Catholic, and as you well know, they're very passionate about that as well. It was an important ideal for me because I knew that that was the right way to live. I knew that there were things that I should be doing to help others, not just to help myself. And I knew that there were greater things than just kicking a ball or doing well in school. I knew there were things outside in my community that I could do to help shape a better life for somebody else, to leave places in a better place than when I found them.
During your freshman year, one of your close friends passed away after a car accident, and you wore his initials on your wrist to remember him. And speaking for you, I assume that is what being an athlete means to you, using your platform responsibly for good.
It does. You know, Vincent Crotty was a very, very close friend of mine. We went to grammar school and middle school together. Our families were very close. We went to the Super Bowl party every year at their house. We spent countless St. Patrick's days together. And knowing that he, who was an athlete himself, a tremendous baseball player, was not going to get the opportunity to play at the level that he deserved to play at, it broke my heart. And I knew how much work he had put in. I knew the sacrifices that he and his family had made. And knowing that he wasn't going to get that opportunity, it was tough to take. And showing up at their house a day after the news broke and seeing what his family had to go through, I just wanted to do something that hopefully could help them. So yes, I wore VC on my wrist throughout college and even into the NFL as well. I gave them, a couple of those that I wore on special occasions, but carrying Vince's memory with me was very, very important. And they were incredibly supportive of me throughout my career as well.
You also said this: if God were not with me every step of the way, I never would have made it. That God helped motivate me to do better. You were playing for a reason other than yourself.
I was. And I think that every athlete has their why. Every person has their why, whether it be their family, whether it be their profession, whether it be something else. I knew that there was something greater than me. I knew that I may have been a vehicle or an instrument to try and put some good into the world. And I took that responsibly, and I took that to its fullest potential.
You kicked 25 field goals your senior year. You're named first team All-America. And then you get a phone call from the Tampa Bay Bucks. I guess it's true. It left you speechless.
It did. It did. I couldn't believe it. I worked out for probably one team every week after I was released from the Bears in rookie minicamp. And, talking to my agents, I said, look, is this normal? And they said, well, to a certain extent, we certainly don't get calls every week for our guys to go and work out. Maybe it's once every couple of weeks. And certainly as a kicker, this is pretty unique. So just take the opportunities and run with them. And it was after the second workout with the Bucks, where I was the best guy at both workouts, that I received a call. Greg Schiano was the head coach at the time, and I've known Greg for quite a while, being a Jersey guy, a Rutgers legend at this point. And I never got to play for him at Rutgers, but I was happy to get the call to play for him in Tampa. Unfortunately, Greg was let go not long after I signed, and Lovie Smith was signed as the coach. And Lovie and I had a great, great relationship. I'm so grateful that he kept me on the roster and gave me an opportunity to go out there and win the job. And I credit Lovie's player first mentality, me having the successful rookie season that I did.
I loved reading about you when they asked you about what was your favorite perk being an NFL player. You said free cleats.
Yeah.
That's all you needed. And I also love this, that after you retired from the NFL in 2017, you said when you joined the NFL, you adopted a mantra. I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to throw you a belt high fastball. Finish the story.
I forget what my mantra was at this point.
Your,
Please remind
your
me.
mantra, yeah, the NFL also stands for not for
Not for
long.
long. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's very, very true. Not for long, meaning the vast majority of careers do not last more than 3.3 years. And that's kind of what they're betting on, because a lot of your benefits don't kick in until year 4. And I've got 4 credited seasons. I bounced around for 6 years. And I am grateful that I got that number 4, because it means that there are benefits that I have access to that most people don't. The NFL was a head start for me. That's really how I thought about it. Gave me an opportunity to set myself up down the road and set my family up down the road. But yeah, 100% injury rate, not for long. That's certainly what the NFL is all about. Great times, but you understand that it is not forever.
Patrick, best advice you give kickers?
There's a lot. The best advice that I probably give kickers that I speak to now is understand that your job can be a thankless job, but it can also be the most rewarding thing you will do in your short period of time on the field. And what I mean by that is you're expected to make every single kick. That's your job. Just like every quarterback is expected to make every throw, every receiver is expected to make every catch, but you're under a microscope, because that's all you do is kick a ball. You don't run, you don't block, you don't tackle, you kick. If you don't make the kick, now everybody doesn't like you. But as soon as you make an important kick, everybody loves you. So understanding that it can be a thankless job, but understanding that maybe it's not the destination that you need to worry about, but the road traveled to get there. That's what I mean by it could be the most rewarding thing you do as an athlete. That's what I'm getting at. Understand there's going to be trials and tribulations. Understand you're going to get knocked down. It's the lessons you learn and the ability for you to be able to get back up when you do something wrong and go do something right. That's really what kicking is all about, in my mind.
I know you come back to Fordham to serve as a resource for the current student athletes. It happened to you, and you're paying it forward. Players can ask Ed Cole or any of the coaches for your phone number. It's an open door policy, and it isn't just about answering questions about football or business. It also extends to all of life, including mental health issues, which you feel needs more attention. And this really is, you're paying it forward because it happened to you.
I have an obligation to do that. I've sat where these athletes have sat. I understand what they're going through. And I also understand what it means to get to that next level, both in professional life and in athletic life. So understanding that, I feel as though I can be a resource to those student athletes. You're right, it did happen to me. Judge Holdman was that person for me. Frank Sacco is still that person for me. I understand that there are great graduates of this university that have helped me along the way. I'm simply hoping to do that in the same vein.
And your whole life, it has never been just you out there. You never did it alone.
Yeah, you've done your research, Ed. These are some quotes that are pulling me back now. You're right. I never did it alone. And I never have to do it alone. That's the great thing about it. You could be a kicker and be on an island and solitary and all these things, but I understood that there was a team behind me, family, friends, support staff that was there with me whenever I needed them. I understood I had coaches in my corner. I understood that there were people out there that I didn't even really know were out there that were there rooting for me. So you're right. I never did it alone. There are people who are no longer with us that were there with me as well. I never did it alone. I'll never have to do it alone. It's what I try and express to these athletes as well. There's always someone else there to help you back up.
Patrick Murray, the floor is yours. Sum up your Fordham experience and what you would like to say to the Fordham community.
It was the greatest decision I ever made in my life to walk on that campus with my mom. And it was the greatest decision that she ever made to say, hey, why don't you go talk to that football coach and just let him know who you are? And she'll tell you that. Those aren't my words. Those are her words. My time at Rose Hill, although it was only 4 years, it's made me the person that I am today. Men and women for others. That is what I have tried to be. Yes, I had to be selfish when it came to athletics. And by that I mean I missed things. I didn't attend all the parties. I was in bed before most of my friends. I got up before most of my friends, but I knew that I had to do that to get to the level that I wanted to be at. But I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything. It was an incredible time. I met some incredible people, and I'm honored to be called a graduate and certainly a Hall of Famer there.
And we're honored to talk to you. I don't know if I have my facts correct, but I'm just going to tell you about this. I read that those who do enter the College Football Hall of Fame, and hopefully that will be you next year, they get a very large check from that foundation, but part of that check you have to pay off Joe DeBarry for all the work that he did on your behalf. Do I have that right? Do you know?
You know, I can neither confirm nor deny, but I will tell you this.
I don't. My sources are kind of shaky, Pat.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but I think DeBarry gets a little, a little something under the table. Yeah.
If I'm fortunate to one day be amongst those individuals who are in that Hall of Fame, you can bet Joe DeBarry will be there front and center at that on my dime.
And last thing, can you push away from the table and can you show us your leg?
I'm in my office right now.
Let's see
I'm not
stand
sure.
up. Come on, let's see the leg. Come on, let's see the leg.
All right. It's
All right,
that one
good.
right there.
Oh no, I mean you don't want to roll up the pant leg? All right,
Nah.
we'll take that. What a joy it is to meet you. Thank you so much for being a part of Ed Randall's Talking Rams. This production has been aided and abetted by Athletic Director Ed Cole, Assistant Athletic Director Kara Field, and the indispensable and incomparable Joe DeBarry, member of the Sports Information Directors Hall of Fame. As the great Hall of Fame broadcaster Ernie Harwell once said, I think I've done all the damage I can do. Please note no animals, especially rams, were harmed in the production of this Zoomcast, nor any special effects used. And when all is said and done, there's nothing less to say or do. Thanks so much, everybody, for putting up with me. And we'll see you next time on Ed Randall's Talking Rams.